Hi, this is Edward Troxel. In today's tutorial, we're going to look at how to detect and fix a clip that does not end on a frame boundary. These will show up with a red border if you have that option turned on in Vegas. And so we're going to see how a script can detect if it is not falling on a frame boundary and then fix that issue. So let's see how we do that. We're back in our standard base script, which is our class1.cs. We set our myVegas equals Vegas, then we're going to go for each track, my track, in the project tracks. Then we're going to go through each event in that track, and then I'm only going to look at selected events for this one. That way, if we want to just select certain ones that we want it to check, then it will only do the ones that we have selected. Then I'm going to call a check boundary routine, and I'm going to give it the ending position of that event. So let's take a look at this check boundary routine first before we go through and fix things. Here is our check boundary routine. As we said, we're passing it a time code, and this is the time code we're passing it. Then I'm going to create a new time code. So I just set that to a blank time code, and then I take my new time code .nanos and set that to the time code that we passed it .nanos. So now I have a long variable, which is the original nanos, which is time code .nanos. Then I'm going to get the frame count from the new time code. And then I'm going to get a second nanos variable, which is the new time code .nanos. Then I'm going to set my frame count in the new time code to frame count plus 1. And then I'm going to get the nanos of that value as well. So now we're going to go back and look at the original nanos. If this original nanos is greater than our frame count nanos, and it is less than our frame count plus 1 nanos, then we're going to return true. It does not end on a frame boundary. Otherwise, we are going to return false. So if it does end on a frame boundary, then the original nanos will match nano 1. But if it is in between nano 1 and nano 2, then it does not end on a frame boundary. So back up here, we've checked to see, does it end on a frame boundary? If it has returned true, then it does not. So now I'm going to get me a new time code variable called new time code and set that to new time code. I'm going to get the nanos from the event.length.nanos. Now I'm going to set the frame count equal to the frame count of that new time code, and then I'm going to change the event length to this new time code. So let's take a look at a Vegas project now and see how this will work. Here I have two clips on the timeline. This one has the red border, and that indicates that it does not end on a frame boundary. This one does not have a red border, indicating that it does end on a frame boundary. So if I zoom in real tight, you can see that this second one is just slightly over from this first one. You can see just a slight gap between the cursor and this first clip. And if we go backward one frame, you can see this is one frame, and the top line is just barely short of reaching. So now I'm going to select just the video on this top one, and then we're going to run our script. As you can see, it made the video line one frame shorter, so that now it does end on a frame boundary. Notice it couldn't make it longer because there is no more video there. To make it longer, we would end up with our little notch on the top. Here's our little notch on the top. And we don't want it to start repeating video. Now, if I select everything, let's select all the events on the timeline and run this again. Notice the two that were just slightly short are now ending on the previous frame. The one that ended on the frame is still ending on the frame that it originally ended on, so it was not shortened because it did end on a frame boundary. So if you had a project that had a lot of events that were not ending on a frame boundary, this would be an easy way to get them all to end on a frame boundary. Notice they will all be just a little bit shorter. So a fraction of a frame shorter is what they will all end up beating, and so you have to be aware of that as well. Of course, you could modify the script to go ahead and move everything left to match the new ending length, and that could be something that you might want to do as well. So I hope you find this tutorial useful, and let me know what you would like to see in future tutorials. Let me know what you like about this. Let me know what you dislike. And let's see if we can keep this going. See you in the next tutorial. Please sign up at www.jettv.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.